The first time I opened Bambu Studio, I just stared at it. I had a brand new printer, I was excited to print something, and suddenly there was this whole interface in front of me with panels and settings and buttons I didn't understand. I didn't know where to start. Sound familiar? If you're new to Bambu Studio and you want to understand what you're looking at, not just follow steps blindly, subscribe to my channel. This is the video I wish I had when I started 3D printing. Okay, let's kill the overwhelm first. The first thing to understand about Bambu Studio is that it's not just one screen. It's actually split into 6 different tabs on the top, and each one of those does something different. Once you know what each tab is for, everything starts to make sense. The first tab is Home. This is basically your dashboard. It got recent files, files from MakerWorld, news from Bambu Labs, and that kind of things. You'll pass through it, but you won't live here. The one you will spend most of your time is Prepare. This is where you set up your print. You open a model, position it on the build plate, and dial in all your settings before you slice. We'll come back to this one in detail later. Next one is Preview. This is where you end up after you hit slice. It shows you layer by layer breakdown of your print before anything gets sent to the printer. I've got a whole section on this later because this is one of the most useful things in the software. Then there's Device. If your printer is connected over Wi-Fi, this tab lets you monitor it. You can see the camera feed, check the temperature, watch the progress of a running print. You don't need this to get started, but it's nice to know it's there. Project is where you find more information about the current model project. It may include text and picture, for instance, how to put a model together after printing it. And finally, Calibration. This is where you run manual calibrations. Ignore this tab for now. It's for when you want to dial in your printer more precisely, and that's a whole nother video. So for getting your first print going, you really only need 2 tabs, Prepare and Preview. Inside Prepare, the layout breaks down like this. On the left, you got your process list, both global and object, each with its own settings. You can even toggle on Advanced for more possibilities. Objects are everything you added to the build plate shows up here. Global are, well, this is where your print settings live. Things like layer, height, infill, supports. Well, don't panic about it all. We'll cover the important ones. The rest of the screen is build plate itself. That's where you position, rotate, and scale your model. Speaking of layer height, it's one of the first settings worth understanding. It controls how thick each printed layer is. Lower, like 0.1 mm, means finer detail but a longer print. Higher, like 0.3 mm, means a faster print, but you'll see the layers more. For most beginner prints, 0.2 mm is the sweet spot. You will find it right there in the process panel. Okay, you've opened a model, so you're in the Prepare tab. It's sitting on the build plate. Now what? In the process panel, there are 3 settings I want you to actually understand before you hit slice. Everything else you can leave at default for now. These 3 will make or break your print, kind of literally. The first one is infill. This is the internal structure of your print, the stuff on the inside that you never see. Bambu Studio defaults to around 15%, and here's what I want to tell you. For most prints, that's more than enough. Higher infill means more material, more time, and a heavier print. It does not automatically mean stronger. The patterns matter as much as the percentage, and wall counts matters more than infill for most functional parts. My rule of thumb is decorative prints, figures, display pieces, 5 to 15%. Everyday functional stuff, like hooks and brackets and organizer trays, 15 to 25. If it's something that needs to handle real force, you can go to 40, And I would also recommend to switch to a strong pattern like gyroid or cubic. You will find the pattern dropdown right below the percentage, but remember to do some testing yourself. There are nice big prints you can print out with all the different infills patterns, so you can see with your own eyes how they work. The second one is support. Simple rule. If part of your model is floating in midair at a steep angle, more than 45 degrees, it needs supports underneath it, or it will drop and fail. Bambu Studio can detect this automatically, enable support in the process panel, and it will suggest where they go. Now there are two types of it, and this matters. Normal support grows straight up from the bed, but they can be hard to remove and leave marks. Tree supports grow up like branches and only touch your model where they absolutely need to go. It uses less material, easier to remove, and a cleaner surface. So my default is tree support, almost every time. The only exception is if there are large flat overhangers where you need a solid coverage. The third one is bed adhesion. This is how you make sure your print actually sticks to the bed and doesn't pop off halfway through. You got three options here: none, brim, and raft. None is fine for most print. If your model has a decent flat base and you're on Bambu's PLA with your texture plate, the adhesion is genuinely good out of the box. Brim adds a flat ring around the base, like a hat brim. More surface area touching the bed stops edges lifting. I use this for anything tall and skinny or anything in PETG. Raft is a full platform under the whole print. I almost never use this anymore. My starting point, no adhesion. If anything lifts, switch to brim. You rarely need raft. So infill set, supports on if you need them, bed adhesion sorted. Now let's click on slice. This is the moment Bambu Studio takes your 3D model and turns it into actual instructions your printer can read. And when it's done, you land here, the preview tab. Most beginners hit slice and immediately send it to printer. That's a mistake. Spend 30 seconds here first, every time you print. What you're looking at is your print broken down into every single layer. This is where you catch problems. Is that overhang going to work? Are the supports actually where you need them? Did something go wrong with the bottom layer? I have saved failed prints just by looking at this screen. Two things worth knowing here. First, switch to the view to line type using the drop-down on the right top corner. Now you can see actually what the printer is doing at every layer. Where the walls are, where its infill, where the supports are. It makes everything visible. Second, use the layer slider on the side. Drag it down to check the very first layers, because if the first layers looks wrong, it will look wrong in real life too. Drag it up to see how the print builds towards the top. Once you're happy with what you see, send it to the printer. That's it. That's the full workflow. So a quick one about adhesion. When you're in the preview screen, drag this layer slider all the way down to layer 1. This is your first layer. Look at how much of your model is actually touching the build plate. If it's a tiny contact point, like the tip of a foot or a tiny edge, that's when you go back to prepare, switch adhesion to brim and reslice. You'll immediately see the brim ring appear around the base of in preview. It takes about 10 seconds to check, and it's the difference between a print that sticks and one that pops off during printing. So before I go, I got one more tip that has nothing to do with settings. But I wish someone had told me this on day one. Don't download your models from inside Bambu Studio. On the Home tab, you can browse MakerWorld and it looks convenient. But MakerWorld.com in your actually browser is just better in every way. You got more filter options, better sorting, and you can see real ratings and photos of people's actually makes. That stuff helps you pick a good file before committing to a 3-hour print. But the real reason I recommend this is when you download from the browser, the file lands on your downloads folder. You own that file. Well, not own, but you have it. It's on your machine. Models get removed from MakerWorld. They can be copyright claims, the creator deletes it, and all sorts of reasons. If you're only ever sent it straight to your slicer from the app, it's gone. If you downloaded it properly, you still got it for the next print. It takes a few extra seconds, worth it every time. Browser, download, open in Bambu Studio. That's my habit. So here's where I land on Bambu Studio. It looks simple, but it's hiding a lot. The defaults are good, generally good, and it helps you a lot. And for your first 10 prints, you might not need to change anything. But once you understand what's happening under the hood, the more control you have. And that's when 3D printing stops being frustrating and starts being fun. What we covered today, the interface, setting up a print, slicing, and checking the preview, and my small MakerWorld tip, that's the foundation. Get comfortable with these and you're already ahead of where I was when I started. Because there are so much more you can do in Bambu Studio, like creating simple models, adding texts, etc. And if you want, I can show you this in a video later on. If this helped, subscribe, please. I make these videos for people that are new to 3D printing and want to actually understand their printer, not just follow instructions. I'll see you in the next video, hopefully.